And so I decided that I wanted to leave my job and have my own business, which I had actually thought about 3 times, but on the 3rd time I did it. So I started then teaching other people what I was doing. And over time, this whole LinkedIn world I created, and I wrote a book, I do trainings, workshops, I speak all over the United States and Canada, and then virtually all over the world, teaching other people my principles. But what's missing for most people is how to promote their business on LinkedIn. And that's the part that I love to focus on.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us today. I have my good friend Jennifer here this evening. Jennifer Darling, she is absolutely phenomenal, guys. She has taken over 20 years of actually digital advertising and television and brought that all back to marketing, sales, and actually the LinkedIn platform. So Jennifer's here to talk about a little bit about LinkedIn today, how we can really get riveting profiles to attract the right customers to see us. So thanks so much for being here today, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Sheldon. You know, it's always so exciting for me when I get to hang out with you. There's so much energy you bring.
Yeah, thanks so much. We always have a lot of fun, and we get the privilege of hanging out every couple of weeks together, and I've learned so much from you. And the reason why I wanted to get on this interview with you is I know that so many of the people that I work with, that I interact with every single day, always come up and they're like, have questions about LinkedIn. It's one of those platforms that's more business. So we're going to talk a little bit about how affiliates can use it, how we can leverage those relationships and things like that. But tell us, before we get into all of that stuff, tell us a little bit about your backstory. Obviously, you went from paid TV ads to running your own consulting firm. How did that happen?
Yeah, well, funny thing is I graduated with a double major in television production, and my second major was advertising. So right out of college, I got a job selling ads, which made so much sense. And I did that forever. But at a certain point, I just did not feel fulfilled in my job. I was making all the bonuses, getting all the awards, making the money, all that. But there was a lack of fulfillment there. And so I decided that I wanted to leave my job and have my own business, which I had actually thought about 3 times. But on the 3rd time, I did it. I left, and I was going to be the world's positive attitude trainer. And that seemed great. But I didn't really have a super duper depth in psychology or anything like that. And so I got some really good advice from a friend who said, where you have like a lifetime supply of value is in sales and marketing, because you've been doing that for some, 20 plus years. So I started to create my own training programs and speaking programs, and I was marketing them on LinkedIn. And a trainer for LinkedIn came in one day and said, everybody wants you to try this social selling index, pull it up. And he was quizzing everybody. And shockingly, I had a pretty high social selling index. I didn't even know what that was. And I'm like, how did I have this really high social selling index? Didn't even know what it was. What I realized was I had been using my advertising principles that just came like without even thinking to me, to build my LinkedIn profile. So I started then teaching other people what I was doing. And over time, this whole LinkedIn world I created, and I wrote a book, I do trainings, workshops, I speak all over the United States and Canada, and then virtually all over the world, teaching other people my principles for how to promote yourself on LinkedIn. And not so much like the job seeker side, like I can do that too, but what's missing for most people is how to promote their business on LinkedIn. And that's the part that I love to focus on.
Absolutely. And you've done marvelous wonders for my business as far as LinkedIn as well. You talked a little bit about social selling index, and this was an eye opener for me as well. When I ran my own social selling index, I've been a marketer for 5 years now. And my social selling index score was a 15. Okay. I asked my mom to run the same social selling index, and she got 14. So I was a little bit better, but at the end of the day, I was very embarrassed kind of too, going, wow, like I really kind of suck at this platform. My mom's almost better than me. And so it was a real wide open eye experience. So tell us what social selling index is and why it's important.
Yeah, most people have never even heard of it.
No.
And it's like a totally different URL than your LinkedIn profile. And just to give people an idea, it's linkedin.com/ the word sales / SSI for social selling index. And what LinkedIn's doing is it's measuring some specific criteria that you do on LinkedIn. And the higher your score is, the more your profile is served up to people within LinkedIn saying, hey, you need to connect with Sheldon. And your profile's more searchable on Google, Yahoo, and Bing, because now people go and they search for people and they research people using either Google or LinkedIn. So we type things in, like for me, somebody typed in sales trainer in Sacramento and my LinkedIn profile popped up. They reached out and paid me to come and do training for their team. So it's super important to understand that, so you can understand the technical pieces to be able to raise your score to get found by people.
Yeah, so important, right? Like that's one of the distinctions and why LinkedIn is so different from other platforms like Facebook and Instagram. It's just, it all relates back to that social selling index. And what I love is it's all related back to Google, where they can actually search and find you as a result. So it's just another key piece to why LinkedIn is one of those pieces that I really believe you need to have in your arsenal.
Yeah. And you know, what's interesting is you can do a search and get a person's Facebook page. You can do a search and get their LinkedIn page as well. But mostly for business anyway, people are going to go to LinkedIn because that's where they're going to make the connection to do business with you. Facebook is really more personal. You can promote your business there, but it's just not a business only platform, where LinkedIn is a business only platform. And people are serious about having business conversations there, where LinkedIn doesn't even want you to have business conversations on your personal profile. They want them on your business profile and pay for ads. But LinkedIn, you don't have to do that, because it's all about sharing knowledge with each other about business.
Yeah, it's so powerful. Now, obviously, talking about LinkedIn, there's a lot of mistakes that get made too. So what's one of the most common mistakes that you see people making or entrepreneurs making on LinkedIn, and what can they do to rectify it?
Yes, a big mistake that people, entrepreneurs especially, make, and B2B salespeople, anybody who's using this to market their business, is that they write it like a job profile. They write it like, Jennifer Darling is an excellent award-winning speaker, blah, blah, blah. So it's like all about me, the person who owns the profile. That's a big mistake, because your customer doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
They care about what you're going to do for them. Later, they'll care about you and your credibility, but at first, it's not all about you. It's about them. So we were talking in the pre-show here about the hero's journey. We want to talk about making the customer the hero, and you don't have to get that technical about it, but how you can fix that is going from third person, me, and talking about me and my skills and my knowledge and what I do, to talking about what's the benefit for you. So if I'm thinking about how am I going to attract a customer, it's like, what are their challenges? What are they looking to accomplish? And we start with that. So for me, for example, I'm looking to help people connect and engage with more customers to grow their sales. Now, you would rather hear that's what I'm going to do for you than me being an award-winning speaker, entrepreneur, or whatever, because that's going to get you interested in me. So write it in first person as if you're writing to your ideal customer. And you understand their challenges, you have a solution, and a call to action to let them know how they can work with you. So that's the biggest thing, is writing it all about you and like a job profile. This is very different. We're doing business marketing profiles, not job seeker profiles.
Absolutely. And I love how you talked about like positioning statement. It's one of the things that you definitely helped me really get specific on, right? And my commitment, or my endorsement back, or my statement, pardon, was leveraging affiliate relationships to increase sales, right? And it's so true. And as a result, people are just drawn to my profile a little bit more as a result for finding that right positioning statement. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah, because what happened and what you did was you're focused on the outcome.
Yes.
Here's the outcome. So you don't need to do a lot of explaining and a lot of information overload to get to that outcome. Like, here's my process. Here's what I do. Here's, my training and my experience. You don't need that. Here's the outcome. So we skip past all the explanation to here's what working with me looks like for you. Yes. You're going to increase affiliate relationships to increase sales. Now you have my attention with very few words. I mean, how many words is that? 10?
Less than
12?
7.
Less than 7 words, right? It's so few words, but
it fits all in, right? And I believe
yes.
It's 7 that people can see. Is that correct?
Yeah, it depends on the length of word, but maybe 7 to 10 roughly. But that's the important piece. Like, had you led with, a lot of times people in their headline, they lead with their title. So account executive, entrepreneur, business owner, CEO, president. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
They care about what you just said, which was the outcome, the positioning statement, the thing that is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
That is what they desire.
What's in it for me ultimately, right?
Yeah, right.
And not to be rude or callous, and Jennifer said it very, very well, no one cares about you. They only care about what's in it for them and how they can benefit as a result of doing business with you. And so many marketers make that mistake, not only on LinkedIn, but just as marketing as a whole, is they never take time to turn around and actually talk about the benefits, talking about the sizzle on the steak versus the steak itself and how it's cooked, right? So I love that you mentioned that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think once you get their attention and once you talk about the outcome, then you can talk about your credibility. So the way I look at a LinkedIn profile is I call it the prospect's journey. So we get their attention, we grab their attention with a really awesome looking banner because pictures and words and images grab our attention. And then we have a fantastic headline. And then we have an about section that's customer focused. And then the journey is, all right, now let me see if Jennifer has the meat and potatoes to back this up. And that's the experience section. That's where you start to talk about you and your credibility. But don't go there until you have first shown them that you understand their business and you understand that you might have a solution to their problems.
Absolutely. And you're one of the best at it. I'll just toot your horn a little bit. You're one of the best at it as far as offering benefits. And then really, like I said, just being able to offer added value. Like I said, you're a sizzled pro. So I won't.
Thank you.
Let's talk about, yeah. So with that being said, one of those things where it was just an endorsement. So how do people use personal endorsements on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so what's awesome about LinkedIn is that people can write you recommendations that come directly from their profiles. Now, I was in ad sales for over 20 years, and I'll be honest with you, it was super hard to get somebody to write you a testimonial. I don't know, it wasn't that we didn't do a good job for them. It's just that they're busy, they have things going on, and it was just so difficult. But LinkedIn makes it really easy to get recommendations from people. And if you are proactive, you can get tons of recommendations from other people, and they don't have to just be from clients. They can be from all kinds of people you associate with, people who you mentored, people who mentor you, people you've been maybe in college with, people who you've been on a cross-functional team, all these things. And so what happens is you can request recommendations from people. That's like an easy thing to do. Is I could pull up Sheldon, I could send you a recommendation request. But what I find that works even better is when somebody has said something to you in an email, in a verbal conversation. They just sent you a message and they said, well, I just got one this morning about the program that I did yesterday. Yesterday's class, it was like, yesterday's class was so amazing. I totally loved it, blah, 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 blah. And so now what I would do, but the person already wrote me a recommendation, so I can't do this with this person, but had they not, I would have just copied what they said to me. And I would have sent that in a recommendation. And I say, Francie, thank you so much for this glowing recommendation. Would you be okay with copying and pasting this and putting it on my LinkedIn profile? And she'd be like, heck yeah. I just made the job easy for her. She already said the thing. Yeah. I'm just copying and pasting it. And then she's going to put it on my profile. Oh, and a bonus for her, Now she gets some promotion on my profile because the thing that she put on me on my profile, other people can link to her profile from mine.
Yeah, it's an amazing network.
And you know what, Sheldon, I think the thing is lack of recommendations. I don't know if it's a big, huge thing. I don't know if I look at people's profile and say, they don't have any recommendations, I'm not going to do business with them. But my profile has 127 recommendations, 127 testimonials. When you look at that, I've had recruiters who I've worked with, because sometimes we do trainings for job seekers. I had one recruiter look at my thing and say, I've never seen 127 recommendations. That is super impressive. So I don't know that the lack of hurts you, but the addition of makes it like an A+.
Well, it's kind of like going on Amazon and looking at the star rating, right? And when you don't see the star rating, you're like, okay, it seems like a good product. But when you see the one with like a 5-star rating right beside it, you're like, oh, that's the one I'm going with.
And 1,000 people gave that a 5-star rating, right? You're like, oh, that's the one I want. Good point.
Very simple, right? And it's easy for a prospect or someone who's looking at your profile to say, wow, this person really knows, and it solidifies exactly what it is that you're talking about, right? And I think that that's so important. And even those praise pieces, you know, just to be able to share that, it all shows your authority in your niche, in your space, in your brand. And it's something that a lot of people miss. And it's something that I think's quite important as well. So
and once they put them on LinkedIn, then it's public and you can use those anywhere else. So I like to get them on LinkedIn because then it makes it easy. I can put it on my website. And the thing is, I can't make these things up. These people they have to come from their profiles. Like, I cannot put your recommendation on my LinkedIn profile, Sheldon. You have to do that. Like, I can give you the words and you can copy and paste it. But that's a beautiful thing about it too. They're totally legit.
Yeah, and when you give them the opportunity to do that and they reciprocate, it's very rewarding also, because you know that you've done a good job for that family or that business, and you've helped them out as well, right?
Yes, so, and give recommendations too, because the opposite happens is now you're on their LinkedIn profile, and now you've talked about doing good business with somebody, and it's not even just customers. Like I said earlier, I gave my virtual assistants recommendations. You know, I have given my clients recommendations because it's really important for people to know what it's like to work with that client. I don't work with schmucks.
Yeah.
No, I don't work with grumpy people.
Yeah.
They make my life grumpy, so I don't work with them. So it's good to know that this person is really great to work with.
That's why you and I get along so well. And we're just genuinely happy people, I believe.
Yeah.
So let's talk about affiliates. Affiliates also. A lot of what I do, obviously, with this Smarter Affiliate is I work with different people selling other people's products, right? How can affiliates use joint venture partnerships to increase their bottom line?
It's so great question. I love this question because I think referral marketing, which is affiliate marketing, a different word for it, is absolutely the best kind of marketing you could do. Because what happens is you already come to the table with some credibility. When people refer people to me, it's nearly 100% close. Because I really don't even have to do any closing because somebody else has already sold it for me. Your customers, your affiliate partners, your referral partners, your network, they're the best salespeople for you. You can't even trump them in sales. They're the best. So what I see about LinkedIn here too is that you can share each other's work. You can expand and grow each other's networks. And I have people all the time. So I do this LinkedIn training class. I get more people in my LinkedIn training class from everyone else promoting it than I do from promoting it myself. So by having affiliate partnerships, you can be sharing and creating more visibility, a bigger voice, and credibility. It's huge.
Yeah, the best thing about affiliate marketing, guys, is like obviously building the audience. What so many companies have is they have a product and a service, and most of the time they'll come up and they say, I need leads, I need audience, right? And what affiliates are great at is really building relationships. And it's not just products that we build partnerships with, it's people that we build partnerships with. And there's so many good people that, you know, when people come to you and ask who's the best person at LinkedIn, it's a very simple conversation to point them to Jennifer. Right. And it's leveraging those relationships to, like I said earlier, to increase sales. It's so great. I love it.
It's so important. And sometimes when people come to me for LinkedIn training, they have a notion that they need to create a company page and promote their company page. Every entrepreneur business owner should have a company page. But here's where they're missing a piece. Is your personal profile is the gold mine. Because people want to be connected with people. They don't want to be connected with a company. People want to be connected with Sheldon. People want to be connected with Jennifer Darling. They don't want to be connected with Jennifer Darling Speaks. You know, people want to be connected, and now they know about huge corporation owners. You know about Elon Musk. You know about Blakely. You know Sarah Blakely. You know about Jeff Bezos. Just keep Bill Gates. Like Jesse you can keep naming them. Who? What's that?
Jesse Itzler, Sarah Blakely's husband.
Yeah, you know their names because they are the face of their businesses, and didn't used to be this way 20 years ago. You knew the brand's names. Now you know the brand's names and the company CEO or the company ambassador. And that's who people want to connect with, right? Bill Gates has a LinkedIn profile. Melinda Gates has a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, it's so important, guys, in all branding to be able to make yourself part of it, right? You have your business, you have your product, but you need to make yourself part of it to complete that intricate triangle so people know, like, and trust you, and you build more of that. And as more people find you, more people are ultimately going to know, like, and trust you as well. So
yeah, I mean, we want to follow Gary Vee, right? Maybe not everybody in the world, but Gary Vee's a pretty cool guy, and he posts some really awesome stuff on LinkedIn. And we want to follow Gary Vee. We don't want to follow his company. We're looking to see what Gary Vee's doing. What's your opinion? Right? How do you see this? What's your perspective?
And he's one of the people that's really dialed in that personal brand aspect, right? Not very many people know about Vander Media and all the different companies that he owns, but everyone knows who Gary Vee is, the person, right? Absolutely.
Yep, exactly.
So kind of leads into the next question. Like, Gary ultimately has a great team around him. You have a great team around you as well. What's the importance of building the right team around you, and how do you keep those people motivated really to succeed?
Great question. So I was doing a lot of work on my own, and that meant 24/7, everything, including cleaning the toilets. And I just cannot be innovative and creative if I'm also doing all the admin work as well. It just doesn't leave room for that. It makes burnout. And then, it's might as well go get a day job, because I would be, paid more per hour on the day job. So that's an important thing. And I think that I wish I would have realized that early on and just immediately found a virtual assistant to support me, because it's so easy to get burned out when you're doing everything on your own. And it's so important. There's no major successful corporation that works on one person. They have teams of people, right? And teams of people to do their best work. So when I started onboarding a team for me, what that looked like was I had more customers than I could handle. I had more leads than I could handle, more prospects than I could handle. And I couldn't even get a speaking proposal out to a client in an efficient manner because I was so busy. So when emergency, I need virtual assistants. So I had hired virtual assistants before, worked with big companies, little people, all kinds, and I didn't have a huge amount of success. And so one day I went to this group that I had been networking in, and I said, I need a virtual assistant. This is the rate I want to pay. Who do you recommend? And they came back with 3 people. One I knew was out of my affordability range. The other 2 people, they didn't work together. And I said, I don't want to choose between the 2 of you. message me and tell me what you're each good at. And they messaged me different things. And I said, well, how can I work with both of you? And now today they have built a business together. They've built a partnership together based off of that initial thing, because I took the strengths from both of them. And I said, I don't want you working on what you don't like. And they were complementary. So that's one piece of advice, is find what people love to do and hire them for that. Don't hire one person, because one person doesn't love to do all the things. Find what they love to do. And so that's what I did with these two. And then I kept adding to my team of really awesome people who love doing that piece of the work. And so I don't have employees, I have independent contractors, but they all love the work that they're doing. So love the work they're doing. The second thing is I create love fests. And what that means is, when you're with me or in a meeting on my team, it feels like a giant love fest. Like, we love working with each other. I took my two virtual assistants, I took them out on an all-day meeting retreat. They never had been to an all-day retreat before. We met off-site, we brainstormed. I used these tools called points of view coaching tools. I started our meeting with a pause. I started our meeting then next was with some phototherapy and personal development. They're like, what kind of meeting is this? And who are you? We love you. Because I was really focused on their personal and professional development first, and then the business later. And we had an amazing meeting. So find people who love their work and then love on them.
Yes, amazing answer. People love to be recognized, and they love to grow too in their strengths, right? Like, no one wants to be sabotaged or stifled in something that they don't like to do, like you mentioned earlier, right? And I learned, it's taken me a little while to assemble the team, and I'm still building the team around me. And one of the things that, like you said, I wish I would have realized it sooner. And one of the quotes that stands out to me that I've really taken to the bank is, rich people use their money to buy time back, whereas broke people use their time to try to save money. And that big differentiate. My dad was in retail, and he was everything to the business, the bottle washer, the cook, and it's
and I know
hard.
It's really hard for people, when they're, especially people are starting out. I know it's really hard because you're trying to make money. I get it. I totally get it. So find somebody who is affordable to take some of the pieces off. I started with my niece. My niece was recently graduated from high school. She was going to be entering into college. And I said, I'll pay you $20 an hour to put these spreadsheets together for me. Made me feel so good because I could pay my niece $20 an hour. She was super fast and efficient. So she's like, oh, it's a half an hour. It's like $10. I'm like, here's 20, right? And I felt so great about that relationship. But that's what I started with, is like, what can I just peel off a little bit? I can pay her $20 and not go to Starbucks this week.
Absolutely. And sometimes, guys, too, like, we always think about the monetary value behind hiring someone or being in a relationship with someone that we need. But I just want you to know that there's lots of different ways that you can turn around and construct different contracts, trade work. There's different things that you can do where there's not necessarily the exchange of actual physical money, right? Sometimes maybe even you can go into a partnership where the money's on the back end of it, right? It all depends on how you structure it and what's in it for the other person. If you make it valuable enough to them, they're willing to wait for the back end or whatever the case may be. So make sure that you're bringing value, but it always doesn't need to be monetary. So
totally agree with you. And if you do that, make sure you have a written contract and expectations. Because the worst thing that could happen is you think something's going to happen, or you have a value of something and they think something different, and then somebody feels used. That's not a love fest.
No.
Right? That's a bad relationship. So you can definitely do that. And then just make sure everything is talked about right up front, including the culture in which you want to work in. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. And I'm going to be assembling people. And you know what? I don't want to be a referee between people. So if there's issues, I need you to talk about it right away. And if there are mistakes, here's a big thing too. We make mistakes. We actually, one day, my assistant hit a button and she sent out an email 11 times, a duplicate email to a group of people. one person messaged me, one client messaged me. Oh, it wasn't even a client, it was a prospect. And she said, oh my gosh, I think you have a problem with your automated system. I'm like, oh crap, I do. But I had already known about it because my assistant had told me she made this error. And then the next person messaged me and said, oh my God, take me off your list. You just sent me 11 emails. And I was like, okay, well, I would have never sent you 11 of the exact same emails at the exact same time of day on purpose. It was a mistake and I apologize. Then she replied back and she said, well, I'm so glad I brought it to your attention. And I replied back and I said, well, actually, you didn't bring it to my attention. My team member, my assistant brought it to my attention. And I told her, no worry, we're human, we make mistakes. I apologize on her behalf, but she tried to apologize to me and I told her there was no apology necessary because we make errors. Yeah. And so I think you need to take mistakes like that. Okay, like, you know what, we're human. Unless you want to work with a computer, you can. But right now you're working with a VIP team of people who are supporting, well, it wasn't even her business. And we were, supporting her without being paid.
Right, yeah.
But allow your people to make mistakes. It is okay.
Such valuable lessons, guys. Take those. I hope you guys are writing notes because I've been taking a lot of mental. I'll make sure I go back and take more physical notes later, right? One of the things that you mentioned, and I appreciate you mentioning mistakes too, because so many people, like I said, we're all imperfect. We all make mistakes. We all, I think, mean well also, right? I don't think there's any, ill feelings for sending it 11 times or anything like that, right? And so I'm glad that you mentioned that. I find that, and I'm kind of going to shift gears a little bit here, back to something that you mentioned just a little bit earlier. You chatted about busy people and actually taking a pause, right? And I really wanted to kind of go back into that. And really the gift of the pause is so... first of all, I'll get you to explain the gift of the pause, what it means, and I'll get you to go through all of that. But how do you incorporate it in daily? Do you incorporate it in the future? How do you incorporate it?
Yeah. Okay. So, let me describe what a pause is first. It was introduced to me only a year ago. So up until a year ago, I really pride myself on being an action-oriented person. I'm a do and then see or whatever. I do first and then I figure out later. And so I always saw action, 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 action. Well, I was so much into action, especially in my business. I'm 100% in action in my business and 0% into anything else in my life. And so I was introduced to this pause, which is basically taking a very short break. And it also is with music. It doesn't have to be it could be any kind of music really. And the pause could be 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. It's a very short amount of time. If you think about it, it's such a minute amount of time in your day where you turn everything off and maybe you get a set of headphones like these or some earbuds and you think about yourself. You listen to music and you ask yourself, how am I doing right now? How am I doing today? How am I feeling? What's going on? It's checking in with yourself. And you can do this at any time. You could do it in the morning when you wake up. You could do it at night when you go to bed. What I do it is if I'm feeling really stressed out and I have a client meeting coming up or a training coming up, I'm like, I need a pause. I need a pause because my brain needs a break. And I relate it to if you're driving down the road and you're in your car, you come up with all kinds of ideas. Because you've given your brain a break from sitting in front of the computer or listening to your dog's bark or whatever's going on. So that's what a pause is. It's just a little tiny break in your day to help you recharge and renew. And we don't give ourselves permission often to those kinds of breaks at all. And what I learned about a pause is that a pause is not inaction. It's not the lack of action. In fact, it is an action. A pause is a specific, determined, dedicated, decided choice action. I'm going to take this action that I'm going to listen to this music and just check in with myself and see how I'm doing. And every time I've taken a pause and every time I've given the gift to other people of a pause in a training or workshop I'm doing, When we're done with a pause, people open their eyes if they have them closed, or they can keep them open, and you can stretch and your back starts to like crack and your body feels a little bit better. You're talking slower. And it is just such a wonderful gift. And, you know, I know everybody's so super busy. Everybody wants to get more done, but you're going to be more productive and get more done. You're going to be a better parent. You're going to be a better spouse. You're going to have more patience. You're going to be a better employee with more productivity. You're going to be happier if you can find 7 minutes.
Yeah.
For yourself. And like, don't you deserve that gift from working so hard?
Absolutely.
7 minutes.
Absolutely, guys. And speaking from experience, Jennifer brought us to our group through this exercise yesterday, and it was a nice reset for the day. And to think that you aren't doing anything, you are actually doing a lot of things, right? By giving yourself that mental break, that mental clarity, you allow space and you allow information to fill that space after the fact. Right? So sometimes you find yourself sitting in front of a computer screen, you don't know what to write. Take a pause, right? And I guarantee that after the pause, you're going to really kind of feel flooded with new information that you can maybe get writing back on that page or take the next task. So it's incredible just taking that 7 minutes, what that can do for you in the longevity of your day. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And whatever kind of music works for you. So when I introduce people to the pause, they usually think I'm going to play some soft meditation music. So you can surprise them a little bit with not playing that kind of music. It can be whatever. It just doesn't matter. And they don't have to like or dislike the music. If you're giving yourself the gift of a pause, then play some music you like. You know, I love Guns N' Roses. A 7-minute Guns N' Roses pause would be fantastic too. It doesn't have to be like a meditation style music with no words. It's whatever you want. Give yourself a break. Whatever makes you feel good.
7 minutes would get you about halfway through November Rain.
I'm for sure that you can make it through Welcome to the Jungle.
Absolutely. I love it. Just finding more and more commonalities between us as we go along. It's fantastic, right? So we could talk about Jerry Maguire later. That's our insight.
Yeah. We have a whole story about that.
Now, last thing I wanted to ask quickly about, I know we're getting short on time here and stuff. Last thing I wanted to chat about was consistency, right? So many people never let their personal brand really work for them. I really find that they kind of get stuck, and most people do too, kind of within the first 90 days, right? They think it's going to work, and it's kind of like going to the gym. They get through a month, and then the second month is a little bit harder. Third month, they kind of die down, and then they're ready to kind of start all over again, right? And I find that what ends up happening is they always start over. So what's the importance of consistency and continuing down the right path? What's the importance of it in really showing up every day?
What an excellent, brilliant question. And I certainly know that I have had my own challenges with consistency, because like you said, we're putting all this effort towards something and then we don't see any results. So we think we need to stop, change gears, and start a new thing. Well, I can tell you from an advertising sales experience that whenever we sold packages for advertising, it would take at least 3 months for people to start to get results. But then when they start to get results, then it takes more and more time, and they're getting more and more results with that same campaign, with that same focus. But it's hard when you're like, I need to make money and I don't have any money, so I need to shift gears and start over. Well, you're just really starting over every single time. And what happens is you never get any traction. So you don't see a rocket get fueled up and then put all that force into it, and then they burn out that fuel and they never take off. No, what happens is they put all that force into it, and then the rocket goes, lifts, and then the force actually releases a little bit. They break through the atmosphere, they drop some parts off, and then they go. But that force is what gets you going. If they stopped when they lost some force, they would just come back down. They would never actually get out in the atmosphere. So you have to think of it like that. What I would say is, besides like getting a person on your team that could help you with the administrative work, that's the dollar amount of work you don't need to be finishing your time on, is to be the next investment I would be making would be in a coach, because a coach can see the things that you cannot see. And if you can't afford a coach, then create your own mastermind group with some friends, because they will be able to see what you cannot see, and they will be able to say to you, I'm going to kick your butt and let you know that you need to keep going here because you just haven't given it enough time. And we think that we're going to have success in 3 months, or I don't know that anybody really thinks that's realistic. If you say you're going to have success in 3 months, nobody thinks that's realistic, but you're giving yourself that's what you're telling yourself. You're giving yourself that challenge. What would it be like to have success in 12 months? What would that look like? What do you want to happen in 3 years? What would that look like? And really plan for that longer term than that 3 months, and then get advice from other people. Just looking at your situation and saying, am I doing the right things? Do I just need to adjust a little bit, but not start over?
Yeah. Yeah, and I find I love your comments, and I love the answer that you created. And I find that so many people, and especially with marketing, for whatever reasoning, marketing, they figure 90 days is that special plateau that they need to make something. And if they don't see a return on investment by that particular point, they jump off to the next thing. And I relate it to so many places and other areas in your life. And I talked about working out. You can't expect to have a ripped six-pack after 90 days. Right. And I think most people go to the gym with the expectations that they aren't going to have that. However, when it comes to marketing, people automatically expect that within 90 days, they're going to have a result, which is not always the case.
Well, and I think you could take a look at some very, very big players. Apple is the most obvious one, because Steve Jobs built the Apple computer in his garage for years. He invested in that, right? And then most people don't know this, but Apple almost went belly up, and Bill Gates from Microsoft bailed him out. When Bill Gates bailed out Steve Jobs took that money and made the first iMac. And after that, they went off. They sailed.
Yes, so valuable. We lost each other there for a second, so we're back. Thanks for coming back. We were talking about Steve Jobs, and we were talking about how he actually got bailed out by Bill Gates. So I think that's where we kind of got cut off. And if you might want to continue with that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I don't think most people know that Steve Jobs got bailed out by Bill Gates, who was a big competitor. But if it wouldn't have been for Microsoft seeing what the value was and what Steve Jobs was building, there would be no Apple iPhone, nothing like that. And when Bill Gates gave him the money to be able to come out of bankruptcy and not have to be bankrupt, then Steve Jobs built the iMac. And that was when Apple sailed off. So, I mean, you could do the research on Apple to see it just took many years for him to build that up. And I don't want people to also feel disappointed or let down that it's going to take them that long to build an Apple computer. But the point is, it's just consistency, drive, determination, getting somebody else to see your blind spots and see what you're doing so that they can help you to either light a fire under your rear end to keep going the same direction and help you with that, or they can help you make some minor adjustments to make sure that at least if you're starting to go a different way, to get you right back on the path.
Absolutely, guys. And that's what feedback is just a course correction, right? Like, never look at feedback as failure. Feedback is just a way that you can turn around, course correct, and get better at what you're already doing. So it's just so many valuable lessons throughout this interview, throughout our conversation today. Jennifer, thank you so much for showing up, for giving, like I said, for delivering such value to our audience today. Where can we find you? Tell us about your LinkedIn, what you're doing over there, and how some of my guests can turn around and take advantage of your great coaching.
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. I would say that's the place to come and search for me. So my LinkedIn is Jennifer Darling Speaks. There's another Jennifer Darling. I know her. I've asked her to sell me Jennifer Darling, but she's not done it yet. So find me on Jennifer Darling Speaks. I'll be the one in Sacramento, California. And go there and connect with me, because I've written over 50 articles on LinkedIn and sales and marketing and prospecting. And that's what I do, is help people to grow their revenue. So come connect with me there. And please let me know that you have heard about this on Sheldon's show. If you mention Sheldon, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a free gift inside of LinkedIn, and you'll be super happy you did. So just for listening on Sheldon's show, you're going to get a gift.
Thank you so much, guys. Make sure you take advantage of that, because I've received gifts from Jennifer before and they are worth it. So you definitely won't want to miss that. Jennifer, thank you so much once again. This has been, like I said, one of my favorite conversations. You and I could chat all day long, as we've proven many times over and over again. But I just wanted to, like I said, get you in front of more people. Now, are you still doing the 30-day challenge as far as LinkedIn as well?
Yeah, so this is the last month right now that we're doing it for free this year, because I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a bigger pause, and I'm going to work on writing my next book. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the sales book first, or the marketing book first, or the attitude book first. So I'm working on that. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break, but don't hesitate to still contact me, because I'm going to give you an assessment to help you build a rock star profile and some free goodies there. So, but we might be back next year. So you definitely want to be in touch.
Guys, fantastic. Thanks again, Jennifer. Reach out to Jennifer. Jennifer Darling Speaks on LinkedIn, and I know you guys won't be disappointed. So thanks again.
Awesome. You're welcome. Thanks, Sheldon.
You betcha.